The mic check, guys.
The mic check. Definitely watch what you say in here because
the mic is live.
Can ruin your life.
And right here on the Main Said Video Podcast,
your life
and career can
be ruined by an open microphone.
What is? Why we jiggling?
So what
jiggling, baby.
I feel I can't think I hear it like an echo or what is it?
Right, I feel it too.
A little feedback.
Maybe a little loud. Okay, good now. You should be good now.
Okay.
Might be a little loud.
Oh yeah.
Y'all ready to get it?
Yeah.
You ready?
Is it time?
Yeah, it's time to go, man.
Yeah, it ain't 8 o'clock. Yes, it is.
All right.
It's a show on the road, man. You gotta get me out of here.
There you go, man. 1 second.
What's up, Chicago? Y'all ready? You getting ready to go live? You are behind the scenes with the May Said Video Podcast. Right here featuring my co-host, Charles Thomas, in the building. We will not get him in trouble tonight, y'all.
I am a guest. Can't co-host, man, because I have a contract.
Oh, you know, he's a guest visitor of the station.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. You know, I'm famous for getting people in trouble. Do not get Charles Thomas in trouble.
Well, you know, it's been done before.
I know, that's long.
What's going on, man?
No spirituals.
Alright. What's the steal? What's the real?
I want it full price, hold your deal. Let's chop it up quick, I gotta bust a move. Fact check the chatty patty sounding like fools. Tie around my neck, still take them all to school. Don't be fooled by the shiny looking dress shoes. On my 1, 2, 6, 2, my new one, now I'm done feel love, I'm still that too. The kids still politically wrong, but politicking for my people, even if I'm wrong. But never that, I'm here to take my respect. You can try to shortchange the kid, know that I'm coming for your neck.
For your neck.
Real for a second with Maze Jack.
That's
Old
Facebook.
creamer, I like my coffee straight black. They don't hear me though, they don't see the hustle, they just hear the flow. I guess that's why they still painted on the low. Better yet, I got the school.
What's up, y'all? Y'all out there, man? Come on, give me some love. Show me that. Show me some love out there. Give us some love, some life. You out there. I see you, Otis Armstrong. Show me what's up, y'all. Y'all got some. Yo, Chicago, what's up? It's your man, Maze Jackson, live in the building, live in studio right here. We are at Intellectual Radio, where we do it every Monday night from 8 to 9. You know what? I'm screaming like I'm not on a microphone. I'm screaming like I'm not on the microphone.
They hear you.
Yo, what's up? They can hear me all the way back in Maywood.
Right.
What's up, y'all? This your man, Maze Jackson, live in the building right here on Intellectual Radio. It's the Maze Said Video Show and Podcast. And I got my main man, my visiting guest, Charles Thomas. I like to call him Charlie T, but we're going to keep it.
No, you keep it Charlie T. That's
Charlie T. So, you know, we're going to do Charlie T on air. So that'll be your alias when you come on the Maze Said show. So they can't hold it against you.
They can't hold it
They
against
can't
you
hold it
because
against you.
the brand is associated with my day job.
Hey, man, and y'all don't know.
That name, yeah.
That name carries weight.
Well,
All the way in between New York and LA, the biggest, baddest man in politics is sitting right next to me. Largest viewership, largest audience. Hey, we are doing our thing as we always do right here on Facebook Live, as well as on www.intellectualradio.com. We are an iHeartRadio station. You can catch the whole thing, and if you don't get it tonight, you can download it tomorrow on iHeartRadio. So, man, Charles, busy week, man.
Busy
You just
week.
got off the plane.
I was at the last presidential debate, but before we start with that,
Okay.
I would like to send my condolences to the very, very large family of Herb Kent. You know, that was just such a shock to me that we lost Herb Kent. You know, as a fellow broadcaster, he paved the way for so many of us in the broadcast industry, and I have to pay tribute to him before we begin tonight, because it is such a loss. I mean, and it really, it's the passing of history. It's the passing of an era in our history. He was such a pioneer.
You know, so let's take a moment of silence for Herb Kent, the cool gent mayor of Bronzeville. You know what? Let me say that I am going to say that I feel terrible about the loss of the cool gent Herb Kent, selfishly. Because I believe that I enjoyed Herb Kent. He was a great guy. As a matter of fact, coincidentally, I was scheduled, myself, my sister, were scheduled to be on Battle of the Best.
Wow.
On Sunday with the
Mm-hmm.
ringmaster, this coming Sunday, with the ringmaster, John Kinley Iverson of Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. And my sister yesterday sent me a picture, and I thought she sent me the picture because she wanted me to post it. I'm like, what's going on? And she was like, Herb Kent had passed. I had the fortune and pleasure of working with Herb Kent as a promotions assistant when I worked at V103. And let me just tell you that Herb Kent was the consummate professional, gentleman, and ladies' man. Boy, the cool gent, you could not sneak nothing past Herb Kent. He would, and he'll let you know about it too. And I just want to say, send a big shout out to Herb Kent for everything that he has done for the broadcast community. He was the first black inductee into the Broadcaster Hall of Fame.
The one downtown. I was there today, for that matter.
Yes.
At a press conference.
So yes, Charles, I want to say, yeah, that's a great call, great catch. We definitely need to show love to Herb Kent. Let me ask a question. What's your favorite Herb Kent memory story moment? Is it censored? I know you can't.
I don't know if I should tell
Come on,
it.
man.
Well, no, I'm not. No, well, I will. I mean, I called him one time, and I pretended to be. It was a prank call.
Okay.
I pretended to be a lawyer,
Okay.
an attorney from the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. And I thought that would be as far as it would go. That when you hear about that law firm, everybody says, "Okay, who is
Dewey,
this?"
Cheatham, and Howe.
Yeah,
I would have.
right. Yeah, but Herb didn't get it, and this was like maybe 10, 15 years ago. Herb did not get it, so I'm in the car with someone else, and we have him on speaker, and Herb is saying, "Well, what happened?" And then I said, "Oh, we got to come up with something." So we come up with this story about how he on the radio has defamed Luther Vandross. That's something he said. And he said, "Well, I don't recall that." I said, "Well, you did, and you will be served with papers in the lawsuit, and we are going to demand everything." And Herb didn't get it, even though I was attorney such and such Dewey of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. And Herb didn't get it. So it became an inside joke between myself and Herb Kent. And every time he saw me, he would say, "Oh, there's that lawyer from Dewey, Cheatham." That's my favorite Herb Kent story. But he always had a great sense of humor, and we would laugh every time we saw each other because we would remember that
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. All right. So, Charles, well, first of all, what's up to everybody that is out there watching us on Facebook Live? We want to give you a shout out, say what's up. Deanna Trammell, what's up? Deanna, she says, Charles Thomas is my favorite anchorman. Now, Charles, are you an anchorman?
I'm a reporter. I'm in a studio with the anchor people. I do a different thing than them because I'm out there in the street every day. I'm on the phone constantly. A lot of the anchor people are basically working in the studio. They're doing a lot of promotional work. They're not really doing what I call or would consider hardcore journalism.
Okay.
I have to do that. Now, I can't do what they do. Like somebody like, I'm not going to use any names, but they basically read a teleprompter And that takes a skill.
Yeah, because you can't
Huge
skip up. You got to be on time
and not
and
only
be
that,
flowing.
it's your attitude. You got to bring an attitude to work every day. That you have to be pleasant, even though you may have had a bad time at home. You have to be able to get that and turn on and be the news person.
Cheryl
again.
does a really good job.
Cheryl does a good job of that, but can you imagine what the people who work in the morning have to do?
Ooh,
Man, I could not
let me
imagine.
tell you, good Lord.
I mean, those people, I
At
had
4 o'clock in the morning, and it's 4 o'clock. They start the news now at 4 o'clock.
In fact, they recruited me to do an anchor thing one time. And
In the morning?
It was in the morning. This was many, many years ago. Obviously, I didn't do it too much after that. I don't think I did it again after that because it was very difficult. And I had a really tough time faking it, because they do. They have to basically...
That or they got to go to bed at like 6 o'clock in the
And
evening.
there's going to be the days when, hey, before you left home, the plumbing went bad, or the dog did this, or your wife got on your nerves, and you have to get out there and hello there. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Isn't it a beautiful morning?
What a great day.
Yeah. So I don't do that. I'm on the phone all day long. I'm online all day long trying to find out the story, trying to get an angle on the story. And I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I immediately begin reading. I read newspapers from all over the country. I'm looking at my email. I'm reading Twitter. I'm just trying to stay abreast of things. And it has to start at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then by 9 o'clock, my editors, they have their meeting and they decide what they want to do for the rest of the day.
Okay.
So I have to get involved in that meeting too, to let them know what I know politically, because they don't focus on politics. I do.
And so you say, hey, so you pitch the stories
I
to
have to
them?
pitch stories, and a lot of times they don't see things the way I would see things. And
We
then-
can imagine that because you got a little hue to your reporting.
A little what?
You got a little hue.
A hue?
There's a
What do you
hue
mean by
to your
that?
reporting, man.
What do you mean by a hue?
There's like a shade, like a not a
Oh,
bad thing, like a,
okay,
you got a hue to
okay.
your
Look,
reporting.
I know who I am.
Right,
I know
so you
where
know
I
when
grew up.
you know when you
I know
get
who
Charles
I-
story,
Yeah.
a story from Charles Thomas, the
Well,
brothers feel good.
Well, because-
Even if they messed up, the brothers feel good if they get a story from Charles Thomas.
Well, the thing is, everybody has a perspective on the news. You can't avoid it. I mean, if you grow up in a situation that's like mine, you have a certain perspective on the world. Like you have a perspective on the world.
You know I do.
Yeah, and everybody does. And the thing is, I think that's very important that everybody brings their perspective to the newsroom. Not their opinion, but their
Now,
perspective.
what's the difference?
Oh, big difference. Okay, here's a good story. Give me 30 seconds. I remember covering a story when they were building a building at McCormick Place.
Okay.
This was some time ago. One person, we all went to the same press conference. But that day, the person at the Tribune did a story about the architecture. A person at the Sun-Times did a story about the financing. I did a story about the labor contracts. And, okay, those three reporters. We talked about it later. Well, why did you think the angle was the architecture? Well, my dad was an architect. This is a young lady. She said, well, my dad was an architect. The other reporter said, well, you did finance. Well, because I studied finance in college. That was my major. I ended up a reporter, but I studied finance. And you, I did the story about labor. My daddy was always looking for a job. Right? So I wanted to know about...
Sounds like he grew up in Illinois.
No, but that was the way we think because of who we are and how we
we've been
came up, how we've been shaped. And that's what I mean by perspective. And I think we should always bring multiple perspectives into the newsroom because that's what makes the news good. You don't want a bunch of meat puppets running around who do what they're told. You want people that bring part of themselves to the news.
Seems like some people should apply that to how they legislate, but I'll leave that alone. So, you are tuned into the May Said video podcast with my special guest, Charles Thomas. Charles, Salim Muwakil said, "What's up to Charlie T? Y'all go all the way back to Philly and move."
Whoa, and the move situation, man, I remember that. Man, my brother goes, that's going way black.
Man, he said way black. Man, tell us a little bit, Charles. So, Charles, you know, we're going to get into Illinois politics, but since we want to do a little reflection, the move situation. Charles, so what was the move situation? Did we come up on the anniversary of that or something?
Well,
recently?
It happened in 1985 in May.
Okay.
And so it probably 2015 was the, I guess, 30th anniversary of the confrontation. It was a move was a, I don't want to use the, well, they were described as a back to nature group, a very Afrocentric group that was in Philadelphia, that they were called a cult at the time. They owned a house in West Philly, and they would have confrontations with the police because they wanted to live their lives in a certain way, which would violate many of the city codes.
Got it.
And the cops would come out and confront them, but these people would resist the police. You have no right to come in here. We are natural people living our natural way, and you cannot come here to disrupt our lives. So there were armed confrontations. The last armed confrontation, of course, the police dropped a bomb on the MOVE compound. And I was there that morning before it happened, on the sidewalk speaking to one of the spokesperson for the MOVE group, Ramona Africa, who, by the way, is, I believe she's still with us. But anyway, that's a long story. Now, let's talk politics, man. Let's talk
politics.
Because you know, I was at the debate in the last debate that was in Las Vegas.
You went to Vegas? You know what? That's why that was last Monday. I tried to get you to do the show.
You called me a baller. You said baller. Me? I'm going to work.
So you got a great job, man. So you was at work. So tell us about the debates in Vegas.
I thought it was, of all three debates, there was one in Long Island at Hofstra University, another at Washington University in St. Louis, and then this third debate in Las Vegas. You know, Donald Trump really I thought he had to really come on during this debate. He began the debate somewhat reasonable. I mean, he wasn't excited, he wasn't off the chain, but by the end of it, he had reverted to being the same Donald Trump, particularly in the closing statements. I think the moderator gave him a chance to make a closing statement, and he gave Hillary Clinton a chance to make a closing statement. Hillary's statement was optimistic and forward-looking. Donald Trump reverted to only complaining, saying how bad things were. He was very negative in his close. And I thought, to me, that sort of summed up his campaign. Not that hers has been particularly visionary, but his closing was totally negative. He also dropped it at the debate that he might not accept the results of the vote, that the election was rigged. And that became the headline for the night. But I was particularly taken by his close, when he was so negative in the close, when she was attempting to be visionary and positive.
So, Charles, let me ask you a question. You know, my good buddy Vince Bass says that he doesn't think that Donald Trump ever intended to win. Do you think this was all a giant plan, plot, and conspiracy? Because it really did. I really do think that the Republican Party is going to be shattered out.
You know, I thought earlier this year, last winter, when the first primary started, I even heard him described, and I agreed with the description, that he was the dog chasing the car, as far as the nomination is concerned, because if he gets it, what's he going to do? And he got it, in large part, I believe, because there were so many candidates running, and it was a matter of mathematics. I think we may have talked about this before. that it was a matter of mathematics because the vote was so divided that he could take the extreme right wing of the Republican Party, say what they wanted to hear, and he could put together 25 to 30% of the vote with a few extras, new people that would come in and vote. So here he is with 30%. You got 15 candidates, everybody else has 15, 20, 17, 10, and lower. So he becomes the front runner. And that continued. And those other people didn't drop out of the race. And they didn't criticize him, nor did they do the kind of opposition research that Hillary Clinton obviously has done. They didn't do it during the primary, and they paid a heavy price for it because Donald Trump, by March, by the Illinois primary, he was way out in front.
You are tuned into the Maysaid video podcast right here on WWW Intellectual Radio. We are an iHeart radio station. If you are watching us on Facebook Live, I want you to take a moment and use the new share button. You do not have to leave the broadcast. You can just click the button right there and share the broadcast with your friends. Let's make this go viral. Let's talk about this. Let's get some more views, etc. So, Charles, you know, I am concerned that Donald Trump has created a wave and is in front of a wave that he's not in control of, right? I think that he has awakened a beast in the country that is not going to be put back in the box win, lose, or draw. And, you know, I am concerned that with 40% of the vote, let's just say he gets 40% of the vote of 38 to 40% of pissed off people who are willing to do whatever.
You know, I don't think the number's that large. I think there's going to be a certain number of people, Republicans, hardcore Republicans, who are going to support the ticket no matter who is at the top of it. And I think those people represent a significant portion of that 38 to 40% that you're talking about.
Right.
Let's say they represent half of it. Now you're down to 15 to 20% of the electorate that's extreme,
rabid.
And that rabid.
What do they call them? Undesirable. What do they call them?
I think Hillary Clinton calls them deplorables. But anyway, I think those people are going to be there. They were there before Donald Trump ran. They will be there after he loses. I see a couple of things happening.
Okay.
The thing I see happening is the Republican Party, as you've said, in shambles. I mean, like an earthquake hit it. And in the short term, there's going to be a search and rescue mission. Then there's going to have to be a rebuild for what you have left. And I think that will happen. I think the Republican Party, or whatever they'll call it, will have to rebuild from those ashes. But that 15%, 20%, it's always going to be there. It was there before the election. It's going to be there after it's over. And it's basically an extreme function. And the Republican Party, if it does lose by the amount some people say it will lose, it will regret having ever allowed those people into its ranks, because they are the people who are stopping the party or preventing the party from expanding and growing, because people don't want to go shoulder to shoulder with people like David Duke.
So you don't see this as similar to the Tea Party? What happened with the Tea Party?
I think there are a lot of elements of the Tea Party in the Trump coalition today.
I agree. I hope
they're there, and just because they were called themselves the Tea Party 4 years ago or 8 years ago, now they're Trumpers or Trumpites or whatever.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, they're also mixed in with a lot of people I would call mainstream Republicans, people who will be Republican no matter what and will never ever vote for Hillary Clinton.
That's crazy, Charles. So, looking at understanding that, do you think we get the House or the Senate back?
It's possible. I mean, I saw a stat this morning that I think it was CBS Morning News I was watching, and they they reported a poll, a survey in Texas, where Hillary Clinton, well, Trump was at 46%, Hillary Clinton was at 43%. That's either
in Texas?
Yeah, that's either within or just outside the margin of error for the poll, which means that she's got a shot in Texas. Oh my goodness, that's monumental.
I think Donald Trump's. I think that Donald Trump was sent to blow up the party. Charles, has he spent any money? Has he? I mean, literally, he has marched to second place off of earned media.
You don't see
earned media.
I know we live in Illinois, which is a state that's in a blue haze, if you will. But you don't see very many, if any, Trump signs. You don't see much Trump activity. Well, you wouldn't see advertising here, but maybe
I see Trump ads on TV here.
Those are national ads. I think they.
Oh, okay, it's just a national buy.
They advertise their national buys. You're not going to see a lot, but you don't even see a lot of that. You don't see a lot of that. I don't know what he's doing on social media, if anything, and
tweeting.
And is it the social media that you watch or that
it's not
you?
Social media,
because people control what they see on social media, and if you're not a Trump voter, I don't know how he's reaching out to people who he needs to expand. Any Republican candidate over the last 30 years has had to win their primary in the smaller universe of the Republican Party, and then immediately after they win their primary, they have to basically at that point try to expand their base to include independents and disaffect the Democrats. And Donald Trump just hasn't done that. He hasn't been able to do that. At least I don't see any signs of that having happened at this point.
So, when you look at a presidential race, your immediate thought is it carries over into presidential race tends to carry to statewide races. So, in the midst of that, we have the Bruce Rauner, Ken Griffin $46 million onslaught versus the Mike Madigan $50 million.
Is it that much?
He's got at least, they said he's got like $9-10 million on hand, etc. They're saying there might not be enough money to even spend at this point. Charles, how does the presidential race play out in state politics?
Well, you see the ads that they're running against Bruce Rauner, and they use this out of context comment, I'm going to support the Republican nominee, something he said when there were 10 to 15 Republicans running. He didn't know when he said that Donald Trump would be the nominee. Now, he won't commit to anybody at this point, which leaves it open that he could still be supporting Donald Trump, but he never said he did.
Right.
So you see how that ad plays. You see how they try to connect this congressional candidate up north, Bob Dole, try to connect him to Donald Trump because he went to some anti-Hillary event. They say because he was anti-Hillary, he's pro-Trump. I mean, they're doing that all over the country. I saw it happening in Nevada. When they had candidates running, Democratic candidates were trying to connect their opponents to Donald Trump. That's happening. It also was happening in Missouri when I went there for the debate at Washington University. What they're doing to Bruce Rauner here in Illinois is happening all over the country. And they're hoping, the Democrats are hoping that on those down ballot races, that the Trump factor will have an impact on people and make them go out and vote against Republicans because Donald Trump is at the top of the ticket. Personally, I think people are smarter than that. I think that campaign advertising has gotten so vile that you just don't believe any of it.
So, Charles, let me ask a question. So you don't think that the Donald Trump connection will tie into all the other candidates? So, let's take a look at Mark Kirk. Where are you feeling about the Mark Kirk race?
Well, Mark Kirk disavowed Donald Trump early on.
Okay.
But Mark Kirk is, at least the polls suggest that he's running behind Tammy Duckworth. And he suffered a big blow, I think, when the Chicago Tribune, which many have called the voice of the Illinois Republican Party, endorsed Tammy Duckworth, saying that Mark Kirk was not up to it, that physically he could not be a senator to the fullest effect or whatever. I can't remember the exact language, but they endorsed Tammy Duckworth. So Mark Kirk is in an uphill fight. And the only thing he seems to have right now against Tammy Duckworth is this veterans home, or when she was leading the Veteran Affairs Department in Illinois, he's saying that she fired a couple of whistleblowers, and which hurt veterans care. But I mean, that's as far as he's really gone. But he has a tough time because physically speaking, Illinois is 600 miles stem to stern and very wide. I mean, and a lot of these places don't have airports. And
so how does Tammy Duckworth get there? She's missing some limbs too.
It's a problem, but I think that in a state like Illinois, a candidate like Mark Kirk, in a state that's so dominated and quite frankly gerrymandered by Democrats, he's got to work even harder. He really needs to get out there and do it. I think that race is probably closer than a lot of people expected it would be at this point, but I don't think there's any question at this point, at least from all these polls, that Tammy Duckworth is running ahead of him. And I think that, keep in mind too, that Hillary Clinton is running very strong in Illinois. The last survey I saw had her above 50%. So to keep in mind that while Donald Trump might drag down a Republican, Hillary Clinton is pulling up a Democrat.
Interesting. So that leaves us. So that would be the major Senate race. Care to make you're not able to make predictions in races. So I'm gonna say, I am very curious to see what kind of backlash the black community has regarding this Tammy Duckworth race. I don't know if I don't see the enthusiasm, and I wonder if there is any residual anger, resentment at the way that, you got to think about this. This was the historic Senate seat that was held by Barack Obama, was held by Carol Moseley Braun, was held by Roland Burris, and we just up and give it away to
I think there was something about the WikiLeaks.
I didn't see it. What happened in the WikiLeaks?
Well, this was some time ago when one of the emails they were talking between the campaign manager for Hillary. They were talking about some resentment
for Duckworth.
For Duckworth, and the fact that they haven't
healed it.
Well, not that they hadn't healed it, but why didn't anybody say that this was going to happen? Why weren't we told? Kind of thing. Andy Zopp obviously wanted to run, and she wanted a fair hearing before the Senate Democratic Campaign Committee,
which they refused to give her.
They just arbitrarily.
They didn't arbitrarily do it. Dick Durbin hooked it up.
Well, Dick Durbin had them arbitrarily do it, as opposed to inviting Andrea Zopp to Washington and anyone else who may have been considered a major contender for the seat. That didn't happen. And I don't know, there might still be some residual resentment to that, but it's not being expressed because there's nobody at the Tribune or the Sun-Times or Channel 7 or Channel 2 that's really digging for that. They're not looking for that. As far as they're concerned, that's not a story that I, for instance, would be able to sell.
So it's funny because I do quite a bit on WVON, and when I talk to listeners from WVON, there's not this overwhelming Tammy Duckworth. Yes,
of course not, because I don't think that.
She only came to our community to the Dan Ryan. To the L stop at Dan Ryan after
she doesn't have to.
How come she doesn't have to?
Because I think that the Democratic Party really doesn't have to, if you will, campaign for African American votes, because they know that you know, that we've been there. I mean, we're there 95% for the Democratic candidate in the vast majority of
Even
these
if
races.
they don't like us?
If the candidate?
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever say that Tammy Duckworth doesn't like us. Because I don't think she's ever really done anything
Apathy.
for us, but, you know, directly. But I think that there is certainly, the Democratic Party takes the African American vote for granted. They're going to get it. They get it all the time. If you look at look at the Black Caucus races right now.
Okay. Tell me about the Black Caucus races.
Who's challenged? Is there anybody?
No one is challenged, because that's how, if we don't challenge, the only people that get challenged for Democrats are the people that challenge
Right.
the status quo. So
that
we're
all
the
happens.
#1 state for unemployment at 15% for blacks, when the rest of the country is at 8% for blacks, when unemployment is decreasing around the country at 0.9%, but increasing in Illinois at 2%, you gotta ask, is this all what? And nobody's got anything to say.
Well, nobody's got anything to say, and there's no campaign. I mean, there is no campaign right now in the African American community. Is there any state rep that you know who is challenged?
Yes,
Seriously?
State Representative Ken Duncan was.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about now.
Right.
Now. Is there anybody out there who's challenged?
No, not anybody.
Nobody.
So I guess we don't get any answers.
So we don't have anybody on the news talking about anything, right? Chicago State is going down the drain.
Chicago State is going down.
We don't have a...
Who's talking about that?
Who's talking?
There's not been one. Have we heard from anyone on Chicago State?
I heard that Senator Trotter said something about it. Donnie Trotter.
He did.
Southside. I heard that. I didn't hear it. But I was saying that to somebody. I said, is anybody out on point on this? And somebody said, well, Donnie Trotter has said, oh, okay. So I'd say that here, even though I haven't heard it. But I don't hear a conversation. Like right now, there should be a conversation.
We're not allowed to talk right now.
Right.
Everybody's got a muzzle on.
Everybody got a muzzle on right
The answer is nobody talk until the man say talk. But we're going to let that be. So, Charles, we're going to move on to the next race that I want to talk about. What's going on? Did you see that there was $5 million dumped into the comptroller's race?
I heard there was a lot of money put into that race.
So there was $5 million put into the comptroller race. And so now you've got Leslie Munger versus Susanna Mendoza. Now,
interesting ads too.
these are some have you seen these ads?
Like
no
that,
budget,
yes.
no pay?
The Superman ad.
You like the Superman? I don't like the Superman.
You don't like
ad.
that?
I'm like, it's too much. It's bang, zip, pow. I feel like, woo, it's too much. I'm like, whoa.
I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, that was a new style.
I guess it did catch our eyes. But so, you know, this is a perfect example of this right here is a perfect example of what I feel like is the challenge for black folks in the Democratic Party. So now here we have the state comptroller's race, in which we have a candidate, Leslie Munger, who was appointed by the governor, but has demonstrated her own independence, and even though she got a lot of money from the government, right? And then we have Susanna Mendoza, who, while a Democrat, has proposed a tremendous amount of legislation that many would consider detrimental to the black community. And, well, go ahead.
Well, what?
Well, you know, I think that when she proposed that, she proposed the expansion of the red light cameras into 8, she expanded it into other counties, so that disproportionately impacted our community. You know, I think about when she said that she would be willing to commit the death penalty with her bare hands, right? That's right, and the concept of suggesting that people who get arrested should have their DNA catalog, whether they are guilty or not. You know, I find that a challenge. I find that if if she's the person who signed off on the Laquan McDonald settlement, does the black community know that? And so when I see her signs and what I've seen the party strategy is, it's Susanna Mendoza and Kim Fox. It's Susanna Mendoza and Kim Fox. But she's the law and order kind of candidate. She was Anita out, and I feel like right now this is one of those things where we need to inform our community so that we can make an informed decision, because we'll just vote.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of that, and I think that someone like Susanna Mendoza doesn't really have to campaign as hard in the black community as she might have to campaign downstate or in the suburbs. Because again, African Americans in Illinois have proven to be the most reliable constituency of the Democratic Party. They are there no matter what.
So
now,
Charles, how does that work if how does that work if we still have double the unemployment? Like, how are we so unquestionably loyal? And at the same time, no one is speaking on the state of black affairs in this state. So we are reliably the most, we don't really have a choice when it comes to who we get to vote for.
Well, I mean, I think a big part of the problem is messaging. I think that we don't have, for instance, a truth squad in the African American community that is really
a truth squad.
A truth squad. Yeah, somebody to really say some of the things that you're saying now on Facebook. Yeah, we're seeing it here, and we're saying it here. You're saying it here, but I don't think you have those voices speaking. So many things go unsaid, particularly when it comes to how black people are affected. The numbers you were giving about unemployment, about Illinois leading the nation.
Worse than the Deep South, man.
The land of Lincoln, leading the old Confederate states in
leading us back to slavery.
Yeah. And black people leaving here by the droves to go south to Tennessee, to go south.
The reverse Great Migration.
Reverse Great Migration, going to those so-called right-to-work states in order to get jobs, because they can get a job in Texas, they can get a job in Tennessee, but they can't get a job here in Illinois. Now those are facts. I'm dealing with facts, but people have not gotten away from the traditional. When you go into that voting, you said, well, you said that. And the last time we talked about.
Oh, we can't talk about plantations. People get in trouble.
Or
it'd be called
Mars or anybody else.
Mars and plantations.
But anyway, but I mean, people are voting. African Americans, it's fact, have voted overwhelmingly for Democratic candidates, particularly in the state of Illinois. In fact, it has been suggested to me that without the African American vote, particularly coming out of Cook County, southern Cook County, that the Democrats would have a tough time winning a statewide race. That's what the political insiders say to me all the time, that without those black votes going 90% for the Democrats, they would have a tough time winning this state. In fact, Jim Edgar, who was a former governor of the last Republican governor in the 90s, consistently would get 15 to 20% of the black vote, and it was suggested that he won because he was able to do that.
Now,
statewide.
See, you out there talking that. Well, that's just science. So, Charles, I'm always curious about the black vote, and I always want to know. So, what do you anticipate happening as far as black turnout post Barack Obama? Will we see a depression? Like, I always feel like...
we had a big discussion about that at the National Association of Black Journalists regional meeting a few weeks ago here in Chicago. And it was a big question. What Barack Obama after the presidency, who is he going to be? What is he going to be? he's gonna be this brother riding around with an entourage of armed guards, living in a fat crib somewhere back east, and what's he gonna be doing? Is he gonna be?
He ain't coming back to Chicago.
Well, no, he ain't coming back.
Sure.
But will he be like a
excuse me.
civil rights leader?
No, he didn't even know black people.
Will he be a human rights leader? Will he be?
He gonna be a player.
A player.
He is. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean,
he got a private jet. Let me tell you what. You thought Bill Clinton was bad? Let me. Okay, do you understand what is available to Barack Obama?
What is his
Michelle
role?
Obama ain't got nothing on. Look, we gonna see Barack Obama on Instagram talking about some. I got Chloe. I was stop.
Yeah, please.
Courtney. Look, President Obama gonna be a Kardashian before it's over.
Kardashian.
I will stop. Y'all know y'all gonna be mad at me. Don't be mad, babe. Don't be mad. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all. Can I tell y'all? So, Charles, you can't talk about this. But I'm gonna fall out of my chair dead laughing when Barack Obama shows up 10 years from now with a white lady. Y'all gonna be mad! Woo!
So this is why, you know.
Y'all gonna be...
That's what?
Hey, bro, let me tell you.
Why would you say that?
Hey, Joe.
Huh?
I got a prediction.
You have a prediction.
I have a prediction. My prediction is that President Obama and Michelle Obama will not remain together.
Why would you say that?
It is my assumption.
Well, that's nothing but a...
No,
Well,
I got some sources, bro.
Huh?
I got some White House inside sources. And I believe that it ain't all lovey-dovey.
Oh.
And I'm just telling you.
Well, so what's she gonna do? Do you think she'll run for something?
I think she gonna go to New York and kick it on too. Look at her. They gonna go separate directions.
Oh,
He gonna go to Hawaii. She gonna go to.
This is like. I thought this is like, you know.
Charles, this is
scandal sheet. Well, this is really, there's no empirical evidence of any of this. But anyway,
I got inside sources.
But I think it's a good question to ask. What will the first black former president? What will his role be in America? Will he be an advisor to, for instance, the Clinton administration?
About what?
Huh?
It can't be about black issues.
Why not?
Cause what black issue has he talked about since he been in the presidency? President,
He could be.
He gonna be like, is it gonna be? I mean, the president.
What's he gonna do? Is he gonna be an international?
Did you hear about the president telling us to tell Pookie, our cousin Pookie, to go vote?
Right.
How come the president? Right, we got like 100 days left of this fool, and he called. Last year, 2 years ago, he told us kick off our slippers, get off the couch, and go to work. Now he telling us, my cousin ain't named Pookie. My cousin's name is Derek. And I got a cousin named Errol and a cousin named Justin. Why?
Look.
You got a cousin named Junebug?
No, I got.
We got an intern named Junebug.
Intern named Junebug.
I just need to tell you.
But I tell you, I do use that Pookie thing myself.
Right, but do you use it on national, international TV when your people?
I have used it in mixed company where I've said we've
on
been
TV?
too preoccupied. Yeah, I think it was on television. I said I think too much is made
You're
of
not the president.
Pookie shoots Ray Ray.
Right.
Every day we do Pookie shoots Ray. Oh, did Pookie shoot Ray Ray again?
So, but why is he? But the president of the United States, we got 100 days left of him to make us look good.
But he's done. I think he's number one. He's still standing upright, and a lot of folks didn't think he could do 8 years. He got reelected, and
he got reelected because he ignored the black people who voted for him at a 98% clip.
Well, I mean,
I'm just wondering. At the end of the day, so on January 23rd, when we adding it all up, besides the people that he let out of jail, what was the economic situation for black folks coming in and going out? What is the economic
that's a
situation
very-
coming in and going out?
You know, we can't use it. If you boil it down to Illinois, worse off.
How does Illinois get worse with the first black president? With the forget the first black president. With the president coming from Illinois, how does it get worse for black people? See, that's a question.
That's
Charles.
it. That's
That's a question.
That is one.
That's why Donald Trump
question.
on TV talking about him. Cause and let me just say, if Donald Trump wasn't a crazy psycho, that's a real question, bro.
No, it's a real question. I mean, I think some of the things about violence and the blood running in the street in this city is a big deal. I mean, that is something that was not happening prior to, that has clearly worsened under this administration. There's no doubt about it. You cannot, you can't deny it. And those are numbers that speak for themselves. But at the same time, I mean, he can look to, there's relative peace in the world. He inherited 2 full-blown wars in
And now we about
Afghanistan and
to,
Iraq.
when he come back, look,
I mean, well,
Vladimir Putin
he's
about.
saying-
Did you see the movie Red Dawn?
He's saying, yeah, well, he's saying that he has disengaged American forces on these 2 theaters
And gave
for the
us
most part.
ISIS.
Hmm?
And brought
Well,
us
I don't
ISIS.
know. I think you can trace ISIS back to the regime before Barack Obama, when the invasion of
See,
Iraq
that's why you
happened.
smart, man.
Huh?
See, you smart. See, I'm glad you smart. You understand that. See, I look in the here and now, and I blame it all on the president.
You
Right?
can't blame it all
I
on the
blame it on the president because I just, Charles. At the end of the day, the question I have to ask, and I honestly want black people to reflect on this question: are we better off from having a black president?
That's the question that I asked. At the conference I told you about 3 weeks ago, I suggested that the election of Barack Obama marked the end of the civil rights era.
I would
Now,
tell you.
if you got slavery, the Middle Passage and slavery, then you had Jim Crow, then you had the civil rights era beginning in the mid-1950s. I believe that when Barack Obama was elected, signaled the end of the civil rights era. I mean, there were still civil rights issues. I think that's what Black Lives Matter is about. It's a civil rights question. 4th Amendment, civil rights, search and frisk, what do they call it? But is that the biggest problem we have? Are police shooting black folks? Is that a bigger problem than black folks shooting black folks?
I'm gonna say that the issue becomes, and I think
Yeah,
that
but-
when we look at our president, right, and we look at the economic disenfranchisement of our community, there will be a direct correlation between the lack of economic opportunity that exists in our community and the murders.
I agree with that 100%, but I don't know that Barack Obama is the author of that
He
situation.
might be the finisher though.
Well, yeah, he can't finish. He's gone in 4 or 5 months. At some point in time, how are black folks going to react to this new administration? What is she going to do? Here's a good question. How is she going to repay African Americans for their support? She would not be the nominee had it not been for the Southern primaries, where the majority of voters in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and these places are black.
Man, and right there's where we gotta stop it. You got a lot to think about. That's right, it's the May Said Video Podcast right here every Monday from 8 to 9 on www.intellectualradio.com. We are out of time. Don't see how fast that goes, Charles. That's why we gotta do this
That's
for
something I
real.
wanted to say too.
Look, hold on, I'm gonna give it to you real quick. But I do want to make sure that you all know, Sunday, October 30th, from 1 to 4 at the Woodson Regional Library, 9500 South, Halsted, I will be a panelist. The end of the Obama era. Who Cares for Black America? It'll be hosted by Greg Sane and Harold Davis from Butt Naked Radio. It's going to be off the chain. You do not want to miss it.
Let me say this real quick. If Hillary Clinton is elected president of the United States, will she, when she replaces one of those Supreme Court justices, appoint a black person?
Give us our seat back. You have heard it right here. May Said Video Podcast every week. Intellectual Radio. Peace.
But will she?
That's a good question. They said they was
That's a
going to
real
block
good question.
everybody she
Yeah,
chose for.
but let's face it, this Clarence Thomas guy is not, that was one of the most cynical moves by executive actions by any president.
Who appointed him anyway? Was it,
Bush. But I tell you what though, did you watch the movie?
Which
The
one?
HBO special about Clarence Thomas? It was really good, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've read enough about Clarence Thomas to know that if she really wants to pay back, she should appoint an African-American Supreme Court justice who represents the hopes, ideas, struggles of black people. But if she won't say, well, there's already a black one there, see, that's where you have to really draw the line. I don't want no Secretary of Housing Development, no this, no. I want to see a Supreme Court justice appointed for life.
Don't stop my shit.
Who, if she really wants to pay back, if in fact there's going to be a payback.
I think it's gonna be a payback. I think black folks gotta figure out what the payback is, and we gotta tell them what it is.
Well, that, and you know what? That could be one.
We
That could
have
be
to
one
tell
thing.
her what it is. All right, now you can stop. Peace.